Reports of large wild cats, as in the ones you see in zoos or wildlife docos, have cropped up regularly in New Zealand over the last couple of decades. With the advent of phone cameras, the odd snap has added to the intriguing prospect there are the likes of panthers and cougars roaming in the wild. Although there have been some reports of felines in the North Island, notably Mangere in 1977 and Newlands in 1980, by far the majority have been in the central South Island. Not complete by any means, here's my map of the reports which started in the 40s. This can give you an idea of the scope. One report on the net suggested the Ministry of Primary Industries gets about a dozen reports of large cats every year. Just last week I spotted a large feral cat in a forest I was running in, big enough for my dog to take a 10-second double take before she started to chase it. At one point about 4 years ago, the prevalence of the reports of panthers and cougars roaming the high country of the mainland even led to a mid-Canterbury farmer setting up a trap with a juicy piece of bait. The feline he was chasing was dubbed the Canterbury Panther. Indeed, other conspicuous cats have also similarly earned their own nicknames by regularly running into depth perception challenged humans. The Moeraki mountain lion, Lindis Lion, Alford black cat, Kyeburn Cougar. I made that last one up, by the way, because I felt lions and panthers were stealing too much of the thunder. That's before we even get to the granddaddy of all Kiwi big cat reports. It involved armed police with helicopters searching just north of Christchurch. The 1977 Kaiapoi tiger. Frances Clark was adamant what she saw when she lifted the blinds in the early hours of July the 18th, 1977.
I know a pig when I see one, and I know an Alsatian as well. It was definitely a tiger.
Worried the animal posed a threat to her neighbours, she risked ridicule and rang the Christchurch police. The police looked at the possibilities as to where a tiger could have originated from, coming up with two possibilities. Around a wildlife park behind Christchurch Airport, which at the time was a much more hands-on spectator experience than it is today, and the touring Isherwoods Circus. Both were checked and confirmed they had their full contingent. The police then looked around Kaiapoi without trying to spread alarm amongst the citizens. No tiger was found. And that was that. A wild tiger chase. Mistaken identity. Until 4 days later. And that was when, about 5 kilometres away from Kaiapoi at Pines Beach, what looked like giant paw prints and feline scat turned up. Experts were called in to identify the prints and poos. The section's prints were consistent with that of a lion or tiger. A vet who did the rounds at Arana Park said of the droppings, they have the physical appearance and characteristics that are consistent with a tiger species. A nearby farmer phoned to also report a large cat roaming on his property. The hunt was back on and went into overdrive. With it, so did the rumour mill. Stories were doing the rounds about sheep having been found half-eaten, Everyone in Christchurch was now taking the once lambasted Mrs. Clark's story of the tiger in the garden seriously. A massive and well-publicised hunt began. Not the first time in New Zealand an urban hunt for a large wild cat has occurred, I might add. In 1925, a leopard escaped from Auckland Zoo and roamed the city, scaring the proverbial out of the locals. Look in the links for a video I've done on that. A seconded helicopter flew patterns over the creature's last known position, with an Arana Park member riding shotgun armed with a tranquilising gun. Police roamed the dunes along the stretch of the beach it was last seen at. Hunters with pig dogs did their best to track the animal down. The nagging million-dollar question still remained. Where the hell did the beast come from? A Ministry of Agriculture official summed up the cynic's point of view very nicely. It would have had to have fallen from the sky, or swum. Whilst tigers are known to be strong swimmers, it's hard to think of any vessel sailing New Zealand's coastal waters with a deck cargo of tigers. A scuttlebutt floated around and it was an exotic plaything of the rich businessman that escaped during a walk. The authorities, though, were more concerned about finding the thing. Local school children were now being driven to school or taking walking buses. Then nothing. 5 days of searches revealed no more sightings or evidence. The police went back to the original summation. Life went back to normal. There was something else to talk about over the teacups and jugs of beer. Globally, reports of wild giant cats turning up where they ain't supposed to are incredibly frequent. Exhibit A. Every self-respecting village appears to come with its own beast. Not necessarily a feline one, though. These are simply feral cats dumped by their shitty owners. The population of feral cats in New Zealand is placed anywhere between 1 million and 2.5 million. Politicians have even campaigned for the total eradication of all cats in New Zealand, even with the neighbour's moggy lurking in the background. The dead one in this photo was 70 centimetres long, not including the tail. Spot that at 200 metres or more and it will look suspiciously like a black puma. And some can also look suspiciously like a tiger in a peculiar type of light. Even if we ignored the gnawing question of how did it get here, the next relevant discussion point on the viability of a wildcat living in New Zealand backblocks would be, what would they survive on? Pumas in zoos are fed 2 to 6 kilograms of meat each day, and big cats are apex predators. There would be a trail of dead mauled sheep littering the countryside of New Zealand if any of these reports were true. So there we have it, the interesting story of the Kaiapoi tiger. As well, the Kyeburn Cougar artificially enters the lexicon of New Zealand wild cats. Thanks for spending time here today, and make sure you give the Leopard on the Loose video a gaze. Bye for now.